Thank you so much. Congresswoman, I wanted to ask you about what was in the House bill that the Speaker put out and possibly in the Senate bill once it's released, which is some things and some provisions that are not directly related to coronavirus. And I wanted to also ask if you think the full text of the bill should be released to the public before it's voted on. Do you think anything in the final text, in the final bill, should be not directly related to coronavirus, or if everything in the bill should be related to economic relief for the coronavirus outbreak? Thanks.
Sure. So everything in the House bill has to be linked to coronavirus. So, for example, if there's relief to small businesses, it's businesses that have been impacted by closures and by the downturn that is caused by coronavirus. And so the speaker made it very clear from the get-go, even going back to the first package, the first stimulus package, that everything had to be directly linked. And so, there's been, I think, a real distortion of the truth, as per usual, by the Republicans who claim, this shouldn't be a vehicle for the Green New Deal. Well, the Green New Deal is nowhere in there. I don't even think the speaker supports the Green New Deal. But what we did want to do, and I think the American public deserves this, if we are going to give big money to big corporations, there should be guardrails and expectations. And so some of those guardrails and expectations, as you all know, some of the things we've been talking about are prohibitions on firing employees after receiving a big, a big stimulus infusion from the federal government. So we've got to protect workers, or making sure that there aren't violations of labor agreements in this process. We've got to protect workers. There were many voices and many members of Congress who said, if we're going to give money to the airline industry, we've got to force them to start thinking in greener ways. We can't just give money away without any expectation that these corporations would work with us. And so I think it is absolutely reasonable to call as we hand out funding and as we make decisions about who gets funding. I think it's absolutely reasonable and in fact necessary to ensure that folks are working toward the same goal as we all should be, instead of working against those goals. So, protecting families, protecting communities, protecting jobs, and we can't just assume it's going to happen on its own. And with regard to your other question about should the text be released publicly, absolutely. It absolutely needs to. People need to see what's in it. I'm dying to see what's in it. So is my team, so that we can do a deep dive. I have no doubt there will be things in there that are are going to be very difficult for me to support. There are going to be things in there that I think don't go far enough. So at the end of the day, my own process, and I believe we're probably going to end up having to fly back. I would be very surprised if there is unanimous consent for a bill of this magnitude on the House side. So my assumption is we're going to be flying up probably Thursday or Friday. The leader has told us that we get 24-hour notice. For folks like me, it's an 8-hour journey from door to door. So, I'd have to leave Thursday night for a Friday vote. But I think we're not going to get unanimous consent. But, I need to digest everything in there to decide at the end of the day if the progress is worth the sacrifice. One of the other things that we've been talking about is this is obviously not going to be the final investment that we make in a stimulus package. There will probably be a fourth package, maybe even a fifth or sixth. So my sense also is whatever gains we weren't able to make, for example, I know the Senate is not with us on FMLA, paid FMLA. Maybe that that fight is left for another day for the fourth package and so on.